1 empty bag of probites, 9 kilos consumed.
And 1 empty bag of probites colour boost, or 3 kilos consumed. Let's see. Welcome back to Ochakoi for another one. So this one is going to be the update. We're going to be looking at how the probites has fared next to the Saki Hikari tub. They've been feeding now, well, the point you'll see this video and the fish you'll see today have been on the food just shy of 6 weeks. So Fry all doing well, and the rest of these guys all doing really well. So you can see splashing around on the bottom as well. So just for those who are joining us late or haven't seen the first one, this is probites. This is a food made by another company. It's budget, well, I say it's budget, it's slightly lower budget than the Saki. It does work out a bit cheaper, but because you can only buy it in smaller quantities, it's not too far different. But it is a high quality ingredient food. What I wanted to see is can it tackle the magic of this Saki Hikari and its magical pro-digestive Saki germ, as it's called. Obviously none of us really know what it is because it's patented and it's top secret, but probites has got a good foundation, it's got some good ingredients, it's got some quite good reviews out there from different people that I've spoke to, so we're going to find out what it's done for me over the last 6-7 weeks that we've fed all this food. So reminder for everyone, the left tub, the one that you can see at the furthest away from you, had the probites. This one directly in front of us had the Saki. Let's get on with it. Right, so I'm going to start by just showing you the end of the bucket every time, just to demonstrate how much dust you get with probites. You do not get this with Saki. Anyone who uses Saki, it stays crumb free to the very end. This is quite dusty. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but it is dusty, and I've genuinely found before the dustier the food, the dirtier it makes your water, is the rule of thumb that I've sort of followed in the past. What I can't say is though that it's worse than croppings when it comes to fouling your water. It's definitely not. It's not as good as the Saki. It definitely increased the colour and the turbidity of our water, but it didn't get anywhere near what it does when you chuck croppings in. So that's a bit of a win. You can see here the pellet sizes. This has got a mixture in, so I can save this bit just to show the mixture. So this here is one of the colour pellets. As you can see, they're actually quite big. They're too big for a lot of the smaller fish. Renders this colour stuff useless for anything smaller than a Nisai really, and a fairly decent Nisai at that. The summer growth pellet is a bit smaller. It's alright. It's a decent size, so that's fine. I do wish they would do some different offerings of their pellet sizes. It's all one size. You don't get a choice between the size that you pick. So that would be really handy if you're going to use it again in future. So that's that. Right, let's have a look at what it does to the water in comparison to the Saki. Okay, so these are 2 cups. On the left cup we've got Saki Hikari, 4 pellets. On the right cup we've got 4 pellets of the summer. Saki Hikari growth and probites summer. They've been in there for 4 hours. Don't see much point doing much longer because you've got food floating around that long, you're going to have other problems anyway. But I'm not sure if the camera's picking this up as well as I'd like it to, but this one is definitely dirtier. The pellets also broke down a lot quicker in this one. They've expanded quite a lot. Obviously these ones have as well, but they have also sunk. So you can see just an example there of what it does to the water. The one thing you can, and again I don't know if the camera's picking this up, I'll try and get the light hit right. This has got like an oil slick on top of it. I don't know if anybody feeds Saki, you would have noticed it. You get this, see it? You get an oil slick on top of the water. It's something to do with the ingredients in it, some sort of fat I'd imagine. You don't get that with the probites, but the water is definitely dirtier, definitely more coloured, which seems to go hand in hand with the increase in nitrite particularly. So I was at 0 parts per million feeding Saki Hikari, and when I swapped the probites I did get a nitrite spike for 2 weeks. Only increased between 0.5 and 1 part per million, so again it wasn't high and I just ploughed through it, but an increase from swapping food. So I think, I don't know whether that's from breakdown in the water initially like this, or because the fish isn't eating as much of it and is producing more waste, so you get the increase. Ammonia never spiked. Ammonia was fine. It was just the second phase. It subsided after 2 weeks, and I was able to carry on at the same amounts. So, but just food for thought, depending on your filtration system as well. Obviously, the whole thing being, if you can't get as much food in because you're getting more waste, you're getting more chemicals in the water, then obviously you're not going to be able to get the growth that you want as well. So, yeah, interesting. Right, that's those. So let's look at appetite-wise. What do they do about the food? Now, at the moment, I have got this mixed colour and summer growth. Have tried it also with summer and colour separately. So let's just show you how they go for it. This piece of polystyrene, you probably wonder what it's there for. It's just to create a bit of shade for when the sun gets intense in it, so they can hide if they want to. As you can see, they like it pretty well, but you're already seeing what I'm saying about the smaller pellet, the larger pellet size. It's a little bit difficult for tosi, with the smaller tosi that you've got. They definitely don't have the feeding frenzy over it that they do with the Saki. So there's an appetite. It's whether they do like it. I'm not saying they don't like it. They do like it and they eat well on it. But that was the first feed of the day. On the Saki, they would be fighting each other to get out of the pond. So there's definitely a taste difference. But they are doing really well on it. Really well. It's quite difficult to see from here, but I feel like the bigger fish, the older fish, have done better on it than the younger ones. That's probably something to do with the pellet size, because I have seen some very good growth, but we'll move on to what the fish have done soon. So when I've done the summer and the colour separately, the summer they seem to enjoy more, they go for more. If I then throw colour food on next time, they attack it like they did the summer, but if I then do a second colour feed after that, they try it and they seem to take a long time over it, so clearly the taste of the colour isn't quite to their palate. That, or I've just got fussy fish that have got the appetite of a 5-year-old. So but there's a definitely marked difference between them taking on the summer growth and the colour boost food. So that's how they go for it in a feed, which, yeah, like I said, when you're trying to build up a growing system, you want a decent growth, you really need that appetite to be spot on, and I'm just not getting the same with this that I do with the Saki. That once you've got a couple of feeds of Saki and then they've got used to it, they're ravenous for it every time. Obviously the older fish start to slow down a bit, but the younger ones, they always carry on. So big part of what you're looking at when it comes to growing on food. Obviously if you're not looking at growing on and you're just looking at staple diets, then not really as much of an issue, is it? But yeah, that's that feed. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to bowl up some of these guys for you. I'm not going to bowl them all up. I'm actually a bit apprehensive about doing this, if I'm honest, because I want to leave them settled to carry on with how they're feeding, etc. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you my observations that I've found with the food since I've been feeding it, and then we'll bowl them up and see if it's actually, if I can point it out more while they're closer up. So the first thing I noticed with this is that the body shapes. Now, the shape of the body around the belly line looked like they were getting fat. They were just getting sort of dumpy towards the back and not actually putting any body on. At first I thought it was just one fish, because the first one I noticed on was one of the Hiyatsuris, which just looked like it had an awful body line on it. But after a little while I noticed the Odicans started doing the same thing. Literally all three of them followed suit, and then I noticed it on a couple of others as well. The bigger fish haven't tended to do that as much, so where they've got a bigger frame, whether it's just you can notice it or not, I don't know, but they certainly haven't done. But they definitely just all appear thicker and fatter in appearance than they did, as opposed to the Saki, where you tend to get the shoulders are what you notice, and the ridge and the actual structure of the body. So that's my first impression, is the body isn't as good. Certainly from a viewing distance like here, the body doesn't appear to have the same gravitas or same development that it does on the Saki. So Let's bowl a couple up. I'm going to try and get the 2 or 3 odor cans that have been in there the entire time as the example, because they're all from the same bloodline and they're very high quality fish as well. So I'll see if I can grab a couple of the Shiros as well that have been in there the entire time. That Ogon from the Kashi there has done phenomenal. Its colour, I don't know if you pick it up. And that's one thing about the colour food, which we'll move on to a bit, but I feel the non-colour, the non-red fish, but not the black ones, have done better on it than the red ones have. Now obviously the different yellow pigments and orange pigment are different to the red pigment. The red requires different level of stuff, so I don't know if it's better suited to that, but that's definitely one thing I've noticed. Right, let's try and catch some of these. So here we go, the first two that I've pulled out, 2 of the odor cans, the Kahaku and 1 of the Showas. So these have been 5 weeks, 5 days. So if you look to the right, you'll see what these were when they turn up. These 2 are in there, there's 4 of them in total. I'm going to pull 3 out today, I think I managed to catch. So first things first, growth wise, stunning amount of growth. 5 weeks, 5 days, I've worked out exactly, punched the dates in from the timestamps on the videos. These came in at 26, 27 centimetres. They are now at 36, 37 centimetres. So absolutely mental growth. You know, I'm around the 2 centimetre a week mark, which is fantastic. This is probites, let's just re-stress that. Colour's looking a bit stressed on the Showa, definitely. The colour hasn't worked as well, but the Kahaku's looking pretty sweet. It's got pretty strong belly. What I've been talking about in terms of the belly line, if you look as I sort of go closer and down a bit, you'll see the belly looked a bit fatter. They haven't developed the ridge or the shoulders yet. Now, they are still young fish. These were jumbo tosai, so they are obviously still early on in the development, so that will all come later. But the first thing I noticed was the way they just looked, they appeared fatter. The belly got fat at the bottom down by the anal fin, and as it headed onto the peduncle, it just looked a far thicker fish. It didn't look great, it lost its streamline looks. These 2 weren't as drastic. The Hiyutsuri that I'll pull out later, that went really bad first of all. However, that has recovered. It's still there to an element. They still look fatter. You can see they almost look like they've, you know, like a female does when they start to develop their eggs, is basically how I describe it. So while the growth is there, and they definitely have grown an awful lot, I mean that's an impressive amount of growth in such a small amount of time, the body shape has suffered somewhat compared to what the Saki Hikari offers you. So I don't know why that is. I can't offer you a solution or conclusion as to why that is. I'm just telling you what I've experienced in using it. Interesting nonetheless. What I am semi-interested in is if that theme would continue with these, because as I said, in some of the bigger fish, which we'll move on to in a minute, that hasn't been as apparent. The shape hasn't suffered. So, but these guys have absolutely smashed it growth wise. As I said, colour looking a bit stressed on both of them, more so on the Showa. So now we're finished with this food, I'm going to put them back on the Saki Hikari, so they will get some Saki colour for the next few weeks. But let's have a look at the next one. So here we got my Tanto Goshiki. The back of this has developed insanely well. It was basically white when I first put this in here. As you can see, it's grown really well. It's had a really strong season. To be fair, this fish doesn't seem to matter what food I give it, it wants to grow. But again, it has done very well on the probites. It hasn't developed the same belly line that the others did, so really impressed with it. This one has somehow figured out that it can jump straight out of the bowl, even in that little amount of water, and off he goes. Let's have a look at some others. So this is the red Kajaku from New Forest Koi that went in at the same time, so 5 weeks, 5 days. This was very, very skinny when it came in. But again, you can see even looking from above, that pinch it's got after the anal fin underneath, where the belly has expanded. Like I said, I'm going to keep saying this, it was worse in the first week or 2. I've really noticed it once I ramped the food up with this probites. It looked like the fish were all crap, to be honest. I was like, Jesus Christ, got some absolutely shocking body shapes in here. But it did start to subside, and it has done to this point. Still not as good as what you'd see on the Saki Hikari, but a lot better. I mean, this is a lovely fish. The colour, the pigment on it is absolutely fantastic. So again, this is going to get some time on the Saki colour. Hasn't fared awfully on this stuff. Metallic fish do seem to do better colour wise, I find anyway. Yeah, look, it's again quite a bit of growth. in the time that it's been in there. Let's move on to the next one. So this is one of the other Odocan showers. There was 4 in there. I've managed to catch 3. Again, similar amount of growth to the other 2 that we looked at. And again, the same story with that body line at the bottom. This one is probably the best out of all of them in terms of it kept its shape. But you could still see it pushing. And again, especially to begin with. It's weird. It's almost like the body was adapting to what it was having to digest. So it just stored it before it figured it out. I don't know. Like I said, can't really offer you a solution as to why, but this one's definitely fared the best. Sumi's developing this one that's nicer than this one as well, and we've not even worked on that yet, so this hopefully will fare nicely on some Saki colour over the next few weeks, and then we'll look what we can do with it. On to the next one. So this one this is one of my Nisai Achievers. The word just left my brain. It's done magnificently. The colour has really done well on this. The scalation on it is absolutely nuts as well. It's just done well. Again, this a bit like the Goshiki. Whatever food I seem to put in at the minute, this seems to gobble it up and love it and keep growing. So again, these are Nisai this summer. So this is the Nisai summer, and they're doing really well. I mean, this one has absolutely rocketed. It didn't get all the push in that some of them got over the winter as well, so this hopefully will be one of my breeding fish next year. Yeah, looking really good. And again, with this, like with the Goshiki, it hasn't suffered that body line problem. It's an older fish, it's a year older than the other ones, so I don't know if there's something in that. The body's just able to handle it better, but definitely you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between that and the Saki, to be honest. So this is the Hiyutsuri that I keep talking about. The one where its body line absolutely did really, I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, I'm out in that, that's horrible. It looked awful. You can still see it now, it's got like the pouch underneath it. This was the worst culprit, like I said. But it has again come back towards what it was before I started feeding it. So it makes the fish look shorter than they are. And then you'll see it, I'm going to try and get one of the Hoshikin showers out to show you that. It makes them look dumpier than they are, because it really does join the peduncle into the body and it highlights any flaws in the body shape. That may actually be a good thing. If you're getting just high quality fish and you feed probites to it, you're going to see the flaws pretty quickly because of the way it builds the body. But just for me, you're not getting the shoulder development and the ridge behind the head and the width everywhere else that you would with the Saki. So let's have a look at the Hoshikin shower and let's see if I can sort of show you how stumpy that looks. So there you go. This has grown like Billy-O, really has, not like the clappers. But again, it's got that really fat belly and it's almost joined the back end in to the gut, making it look shorter. It's not giving that appearance of a nice long powerful fish. It's actually making it look like quite dumpy and top heavy. So this will be really interesting now as I move back to the Saki Hikari, because obviously I had more of that in the first place, having 30 kilos of it compared to the 12 kilos of probites that I have, so I can switch them back over. We will see the difference. I mean, this has grown absolutely, like I said, like the clappers, but yeah, just not maybe as you'd want it to in terms of shape. So when we're looking at some of the growth that we've had, I mean, as I said, those other ones, 10 centimetres in 5 weeks and 5 days, that's impressive. So it's definitely capable of growing them. That is the probite summer. The colour, I'm definitely not as keen on when it comes to the Saki stuff. I don't think I'd use that again, but I would use the summer again to help with any growth. It's just accepting the bodies that you're going to get on some of the younger fish. So really, this boils down to conclusion, my closing thoughts, what I think of the probites if I'd use it again. So, as I've said all the way through this, it gives you wicked growth. I would definitely use it again, but I would be tailoring it more to the older fish that I've got, so bigger fish, Nisai and above Sansai, because as you can see, as I said, I didn't get all of them out, so I don't want to disrupt the feeding pattern too much. But the bigger ones in here have definitely fared a lot better, as we've seen. So yes, I'd use it again for the bigger fish. I won't be using it for Tosai because I think it destroys the body too quickly, and it's obviously given me some work out of it. And I still don't think it's up on the same level as Saki. It makes the water slightly dirtier. We're not talking a lot here, but obviously when you're heavily stocked or overstocked, every little bit counts. So Saki for me is definitely better, and the colour aspect as well. As I said earlier in the video, the yellow colours, that type of colour has been great, has done really well. The darker colours in that sense have done really well on the colour food, but anything that is red pigment Benny hasn't done as well, hasn't fared as well as the Saki stuff does. And there is a bit of science, and that's how it must be something to the ingredients, to do with the different types of minerals and things that help the pigments of those different colours. But obviously yellows being quite different to the reds, so it's a good food. The problem with me is they've priced it too near Saki in the amounts that you can buy it in, so if you're going to spend the money on that, I would just go the extra and buy the Saki in a bigger amount, because it is a better quality food. And obviously if you're keeping your water a bit cleaner, you can squeeze a little bit more in if the fish are willing to eat it. So yeah, as ever guys, I hope you have found that informative. Hope you've enjoyed it. Quite a bit of effort to put this one together, so hopefully that has been what you wanted. Do drop comments below, give me feedback, things you want to see, because I am going to do more stuff like this, more tests. I would actually like to carry on with the probites for a little while longer, just to see if that carries through with some of the tosai. But I just can't afford it at the minute, so, and I've got the Saki there ready to go, so that's going to go back in. Going to look at some other foods to test against it, but until next time guys, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.